We're so happy to be joined by Tori McElhaney. Tori covers the Atlanta Falcons for AtlantaFalcons.com. She joins us now on BYU Sports Nation. Tori, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We are doing great, and I love the y'all. I am a sucker for a Southern accent. I could listen to it all day, so I appreciate you bringing it right out of the gate.
Oh, y'all is just in my everyday vernacular. It just is.
Look, there is nothing
it just
wrong.
Rolls off the tongue.
It certainly does. It certainly does. So obviously we want to talk a lot about Tyler Allegier, and I guess you did a piece on him, which we'll certainly get into more as the interview goes along. But I'm curious, just your overall impressions of Tyler after talking to him and being around him for a little while.
Yeah, he is a very humble guy. For him to be such like a tough runner. I think it was one of my colleagues called him a bowling ball with spikes. And for him to be a bowling ball with spikes, like out on the football field, but just be like a good guy, humble guy off the field. He even paid a compliment to you guys yesterday and said that y'all would take good care of me coming on here. So honestly, it's been very, very interesting to get to know him. And I know the BYU Nation is very proud of Tyler Allegier.
Well, BYU fans love Allegier, and they kind of grew the relationship because he was a linebacker and special teams, and then came into the running back spot due to some injuries, and then he just never left. But his toughness and his and you pointed it out too in your work, his ability to get stronger as the game goes on, and to wear teams down to where in the second half no one really wants to tackle him.
That was something that came up when I was talking to scouts and when I was talking to the position coaches. Just talking about, I think the direct quote was from Michael Petrie, who is the Falcons running backs coach. And he said, he was like, they really have to make a business decision. You talk about defenders tackling Tyler Allegier. They have to make a business decision in the second half to be like, you know what, do I conserve energy or do I really go after these guys? And that's something that came up a couple of times in every interview that I did.
In your piece, and I thought it was very well done, there's a line in there that stood out to me when you wrote, he's a bowling ball that knows exactly where the pins are. Now, that's written by someone who's been in the bowling lanes before and knows exactly how that all works. But explain the metaphor back to Allegier and his skill set from what you've observed.
Yeah, so it all goes back, honestly, to his football IQ in that year of playing linebacker. That was something that the Falcons were very interested in. They very much value versatility in every aspect of the game. And so having a running back who has a year's worth of experience playing linebacker at this level it was something that was very intriguing for the Falcons, because they did feel like you saw how Tyler Allegier took that year of playing linebacker and transformed it into the way that he attacks the run game and how he knows and understands fits and fronts and where blitz attacks are coming from and where to pick up guys. It was very, very interesting when you're talking to the Falcons in that they saw the value of that in his overall football IQ.
You know, Tori, this is not just an NFL thing. This is any sport. When you get to a situation where you're talking about guys getting drafted or bringing players into a situation, it's as much about how good they are. I mean, that's certainly, everybody's going to take a look at that. But it's as much about fit and opportunity as it is about what they actually bring to the field or the court. In terms of Tyler Allegier, when he got drafted by the Falcons, I thought, man, this is a really, really good opportunity for him. What type of opportunity do you feel he has in Atlanta?
Yeah, I actually think he has a pretty good opportunity, especially when you're looking at that he's kind of getting in on the ground floor of this overall transition that's happening in Atlanta with Arthur Smith taking over play calling. And I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see, because I think right now when you look at the Atlanta Falcons backfield, it does look a little crowded. And I think you look at Cordarrelle Patterson as the guy who's going to be taking the brunt of the load. But when you look at someone like Cordarrelle Patterson, he's not your traditional running back. Tyler Allegier kind of is. And so you want to be able to use Cordarrelle Patterson in a number of ways. And I think because of that, it opens the door for someone like Tyler to kind of get some good live reps in his very first year.
Visiting with Tori McElhaney at AtlantaFalcons.com. Now, BYU fans aren't gamblers for the most part, but we do play fantasy football. So where should Allegier be in our fantasy football drafts after what you've seen and what you just said?
I think I feel like I'll be able to give you guys a better answer of that when we get to training camp. Right now in mini camp, it's really hard to see kind of what that rotation is really going to look like, especially with Cordero Patterson not being out on the field. So, and they're not necessarily going full 100% at all. So have me back on in August, and I think I'll be able to give you a better answer then.
All right, we're booking that.
Well, I may follow up an unanswerable question with another unanswerable question for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned, but can you see a scenario that at some point this year, Tyler Allegier could be a starting running back for the Falcons? Is that too far-fetched to even think about?
Hey, now, before you answer, Tori, Steve Young told us that he believes by week 3.
Okay. I don't think that's too far-fetched to think that he couldn't go out and carry the brunt of the load. I think when it comes to Arthur Smith's overall scheme, I sometimes put less weight on who's the starting offense because he does have so many packages that he uses, personnel packages and all of that kind of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if, they run Tyler Allegier out there on the very first play in week 4, but he's not necessarily your quote unquote starter, if that makes sense. I think when it comes to how Arthur Smith operates in this offense, it wouldn't surprise me how Tyler Allgier's overall scope of where he's going and what he's doing in year 1 changes from week to week.
We got 2 big stories out of BYU at the NFL. Zach Wilson going to the lowly Jets and Allegier going to the lowly Falcons. We'll leave the Jets for Zach, and we'll talk to him about that. But what about the Falcons and this program that Allegier is now a part of? What trajectory are they on, and can they get good?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one a lot of Falcons fans ask on the daily. We really are in the very, very early stages of a transition for the Falcons. When Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith first got in here last year, they were kind of looking at a very uphill battle in terms of getting right by the salary cap. You're slowly starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they will be able to have the opportunity in 2023 to really build kind of what they want to. They'll actually have the money to do that. So you are seeing the Falcons on it's not a super, super exciting trajectory in 2022, but I keep telling people, look at the bigger picture, how much money they're going to have towards the cap, how they're going to be able to utilize their first 2 draft classes, which does include Tyler, and how they develop these 2 classes into a team in 2024, 2025. So it's a long process. I think AJ Terrell said it best. He was like, I consider this a marathon, not a sprint for the organization. And I do think that's how I view it as well.
Look, every team's going to want to have a balance of run and pass. But with Matt Ryan no longer in Atlanta, now with the Colts, do you feel like there will be more reliance on the running game, or are the offensive coaches in Atlanta, are they confident enough, whether it's Mariota, whether it's the rookie Ritter, that they can continue the passing attack that they've had to where you don't necessarily feel you need to rely on the running game more? Does that make sense?
Yes, no, that makes total sense. I do think that the goal is all the time to be balanced offensively. And I think it goes to show how much weight they're still putting on the pass game, whether it is Mariota or whether it is Ritter, by going out and getting Drake London with the number 8 overall pick. And they got Kyle Pitts with the number 4 overall pick last year. The pass game is still very, very important to them in their entire operation. I just think now having a very mobile quarterback in a way that you didn't have that with Matt Ryan before, with Marcus Mariota, potentially, I think that is where you add another layer. You have a quarterback that can take it out of the pocket, to be completely honest, and kind of pick up 4 yards if he needs to. So I do nothing against Matt Ryan, who we like to call Matty Wills, but I will say I do think Marcus Mariota is probably a little bit faster and a little bit more athletic in terms of that, in that terms. So overall, I think when you look at the balance of the offense, that's always what they're going to try and get.
Hey, Tori, speaking of fast, athletic quarterbacks, and the last question for you. How happy are the Falcons to see Taysom Hill moving from quarterback to tight end for the Saints?
I'm sure they're over the moon. It's funny because they are. He's been so interesting for the against the Falcons over the last couple of years because they've seen him in so many different roles, and it's almost like you never exactly know what he's going to provide the Falcons in a game. But it's funny too because I saw something the other day. The Falcons have Felipe Franks essentially converting to tight end right now, and someone said Taysom Hill walked so that Felipe Franks could fly, and I thought that was the funniest tweet of this offseason so far.
That is awesome. Great answer. Thank you.
Tori, great stuff. The piece was phenomenal. For those that haven't checked it out, go to AtlantaFalcons.com, and you can read Tori's piece on Tyler Allegier. We appreciate you taking a few minutes today. Thank you for joining us. We will certainly have you on again.
Yeah, in August, right?
Yes, in August. I'll be able to talk all about depth chart then.
Very nice. Thank you, Tori. We appreciate it. Have a great day.